Hey guys and gals, Brandon here with another video about church stage lighting and design. We recently received a question asking how we light our platform musicians without washing out our background elements or sets. It's a great question, and it's one that we've recently addressed in our worship center, so I want to share with you what we've discovered works for us and how you can take this information and be creative in your context. The answers to this question are also important if you're a mobile setup, be it a portable church, DJ, small theater company, or if you're using the right equipment and using it correctly, your rig can actually become smaller and much more efficient, making setup and teardown much easier. So let's cover two different types of fixtures. In our rig, in our worship center, we have two fixtures in the overhead rig, PARs and ellipsoidals. We just recently switched to all LED in our ellipsoidal and PAR fixtures, and I'll talk more about PAR LEDs in another video. But for the context of this discussion, we're most interested in beam control. Now, lots of us inherit spaces that have some lighting, but maybe not enough, or we have fixtures and we're not sure the best way to use them. I'm going to give you a few tips to help you light like a pro. So let's start with PAR cans. PAR stands for Parabolic Aluminized Reflector. These fixtures consist of a sealed beam lamp, very similar to an automotive headlamp, in a single housing. Now, the PAR has been the go-to fixture in stage lighting for many years, and it's still widely used today for two reasons. Number one, it provides a good punch of 1,000 watts of light. And secondly, the fixture and lamps, they're still fairly inexpensive to purchase. Now, PAR fixtures are highly efficient as the reflector, the filament, and the lens are optically aligned and sealed at the factory. The beam spread of a PAR fixture is determined by the design of the lamp or the bulb, not the design of the fixture. We'll talk more about beam angle in just a minute. PAR lamps are available in a number of different sizes and wattages. PAR 64 are usually 1,000 watt lamps and are used for stage applications. Smaller PAR lamps, i.e. 56 and 38, are for display and architectural applications. So as with lighting, you want to make sure with your system that you are plugged into has a capacity to properly power your fixtures that you're planning to use without overloading the circuit. So please seek the services of a competent electrician. Okay. PAR fixtures are best used for general stage lighting, color washing, and backlighting where spillover is not a problem, because a PAR can doesn't have a way to cut or shutter the light, meaning that it's difficult to tell the light where not to go. So the light is naturally going to spill into areas where you might not want it. There are a few solutions such as barn doors or gridding, but as soon as you start cutting a beam, you begin to lose its intensity. The best way to control a PAR beam is through the lamp itself. There are several different types and degree angles for PAR lamps. It's additionally important to note that PAR lamps are oval in their beam shape, particularly in the wider angles. You can adjust the orientation by just turning the lamp inside the fixture. So here's a brief rundown of PAR 64 lamps, noting that the beam angles, they're approximate. A very narrow spot has a beam angle around 12 degrees. This lamp's good for really tight spots or achieving thin light beams cutting through haze or streaking across a set cloth. A narrow spot beam has a beam angle around 14 degrees. This is the general spotlight of the PAR family. It's good for stage lighting, lighting individual band members, and it makes a fairly good beam structure through haze. A medium flood has a beam angle around 24 degrees. This is probably the most common lamp for general platform lighting, as well as color washing and lighting people on stage. A wide flood beam has an angle around 50 degrees. This is used for color washing applications with a shorter throw distance because it can lack intensity at longer distances. Now, I know you probably have two questions. Which beam angle do I need, and what beam angle do I have in my current fixtures? For the answer to the first question, keep watching. We're going to answer that in just a minute. As for which beam angle you have in your current fixtures, turn off and unplug your fixture and have a look down the front. If it's 12 degrees, the lens will be clear. If it's 14 degrees, it'll just be frosted. If it's 24 degrees, the glass will appear to be separated into tiny little squares. And if it's a 50-degree lens, when you turn it on, it'll have like 120-degree dispersion of light. Light will be all over the place. So again, the name of the game in lighting design is control. Especially if you're using stage elements, sets, projection screens, you want to control where light goes and where it does not. So knowing your beam angles and using the right fixture and lamp for the right application is crucial. Now, the second type of fixture that we have is an ellipsoidal fixture, an ellipsoidal reflector, ER. It's also called a LECO. Now, we won't get into the name game, but ellipsoidal fixture looks like this. It provides a narrow directional beam with hard or soft edges depending on the position and the focus of the nose piece. These fixtures also have 4 shutters, allowing you to focus the light. It has a slot for a steel gobo for projecting an image or pattern. Most ellipsoidal fixtures have beam spreads between 5 and 50 degrees with a bunch of degrees in the middle. They vary from wattages of 500 to 2000, and they're available in fixed and zoomable models. So the big question is, what degree lens do I need, either in a par lamp or an ellipsoidal? To answer this, you need to know two pieces of information. The first one is the distance from the fixture to the stage or the element that you're trying to light, and the width of the beam that you're trying to produce. This requires a little math, so break out your pencil and calculator and maybe a piece of paper. The formula looks like this. Angle equals beam width divided by distance times 0.018. For example, what lens angle do we need to produce a 12-foot beam width with a distance from fixture to floor at 25 feet? So it's 12 divided by 25 times 0.018 equals 26.6. So we'd pick a lens for our particular fixture closest to the beam angle of 26.6 degrees. Alternately, if we know the angle of a lens and the distance from fixture to floor, you can easily calculate the resulting beam width by calculating angle times 0.018 times distance. So example, what beam width is produced at a distance of 25 feet from a fixture with a lens angle of 30 degrees? So 30 times 0.018 times 25 feet equals our beam angle, or our pool of light will be 13.5 feet. Now keep in mind that the optimal angle for all lighting is 45 degrees from the fixture to the element or the subject that you're lighting. This helps minimize shadows on faces from the light being too directly overhead and having long throw shadows from the light being too flat to the front. In our case, we have two 3-bank rows of lighting codes built into our building. This made our angles not necessarily ideal, so we adjusted by putting a large number of fixtures in the front bay right over the stage to give us the maximum punch from our lights, and we supplemented with lights from the back bays to give depth and to reduce shadows. As for our specific setup, we use 14 ellipsoidal and 18 par fixtures in our overhead rig. We have 5 specific stage lighting zones: stage right, stage center, stage left, center back, and stage left back. Now we don't light the part of the stage right behind the drum cage because the drum cage makes that portion of our stage unusable, so we use those fixtures elsewhere. Now all of the non-color static stage lighting is done with LED ellipsoidal fixtures from Chauvet that we've cut using the onboard shutters to place the light exactly where we need it. We keep it off the front steps and out of the choir loft, and we've zoned the stage for specific portions of our service. We have black fabric along the back of our platform area, which reduces the ambient light reflected back into the room. But because of our platform floor is a glossy laminate, we do have a little ricochet of light back on the element that we cannot fully control. We use our par fixtures for fill and lighting, color lighting. These are LED RGBW fixtures with a zoomable lens, and I'll show those to you in another video. Both the par and the ellipsoidal fixtures have gel holders, so you can color the output, even make a Kelvin scale color correction if you need to. The ellipsoidal offers much more control on the beam size and shape, but the par can has a much lower cost. Only you can decide what works best in your application and within your goals and budget. I hope this video clarifies some questions that you have about stage lighting and helps you take the guesswork out of what's best for your application. As always, if you have questions about stage lighting or set design, leave a comment in the comment section below or tweet us at ps_Brandon Cook. We always enjoy hearing from you and answering any questions that you have. Our prayer is that you are encouraged to be creative in your context.